What's going on, everybody? It's Tuesday night. Somehow, tomorrow's already February. That is, what the fuck, man? Like, January, for me anyways, is usually the slowest month of the year. And gotta tell you, this January, not so much, dude. Joining me as always, he is the host of the Take One podcast, Mr. Mike Bish. What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot, man. Excited to be here. Excited to jump into A Quiet Place Part 2 and some Friday the 13th Crystal Lake news. But excited to be here, man. It's been a good week. My Birds to the Super Bowl. So excited about that. And I'm excited, man, to hop on here and talk some film.
Well, congratulations. I don't know what it's like to have successful sports teams. So, but hey, I'm a Tom Brady fan, and he's won enough, so I guess I have that. So
That's a good one to have in your corner, I'll tell you that.
you could definitely do worse. That's for sure. Although, I mean, to some people, maybe not. You know, some people think Brady's the devil,
Please give me the rings all day long.
right? Right? And I mean, I see a team in San Francisco that probably could have, used someone who could throw the ball there the other day.
So I know that this isn't a sports show, but I want to say something because it's bothering me. I see a lot of people who are upset that the 49ers didn't have a quarterback to play with, and are making excuses saying that the Eagles had an easy win. My response to that is maybe the offensive line should have blocked better and the defensive linemen wouldn't have knocked two of the quarterbacks on their asses and out of the game. Like, that's a part of football. If you don't want your quarterbacks to be hurt, block better. And that's all I got to say.
Yeah. I mean, dude, how was it for you? Another stress-free game. Like, you just went stress-free all the way to the Super Bowl. That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is, man. I'm excited, man. We look really good. Obviously, going up against Patrick Mahomes for the Super Bowl, so that won't be easy. But listen, we made it to the playoffs last year and got whooped by Tom Brady. And if you would have told me last year that we'd be in the Super Bowl this year, I'd probably laugh in your face. But so I got to take it, man. I think it's a hell of a season, no matter how the Super Bowl ends. I've been blessed this year, though. The Phillies made the World Series, obviously didn't win, and the Eagles made it to the Super Bowl. That doesn't happen usually for Philly sports, so it's good to be here.
Well, I mean, I'm a Leafs fan, and enough said. I'm a Sixers fan, and at least in my lifetime, the closest we've been was a one-man Iverson team.
Yeah.
Shaq show. So that didn't go so well. The Blue Jays have won in my lifetime, but I was very, very little. I have no memory of that whatsoever. So, it's kind of where I'm at. Even auto racing wise, like I used to watch drag racing when I was younger, and all the guys I cheered for, they'd always be like the guys that come runner up or top 5 in the championship standings or whatever. And
yeah.
Even AJ with NASCAR, he won 2 Xfinity regular season championships, but didn't win a championship.
Well, I got blessed with Tony Stewart winning 3 championships, but I'll be lying if I said it didn't hurt that he never got a 500 win. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that hurt because that's the only thing he was really missing. He had the Indianapolis 500 or the Brickyard 500, I should say. Multiple wins there, and obviously the 3 championships. I think it goes down. I think his championship year in that 14 car was one of the best championship battles between him and Carl Edwards of all time. And then, with Chase Elliott, with Stewart retiring, I had to choose a driver. So I went young and I went with Chase. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of got nervous there the first couple of years because he didn't really win much. He didn't win at all. I was like, oh, great. Did I pick somebody who's just not going to be able to win races? But obviously that changed. So I don't know, man. I've been lucky, so I don't, I'm not gonna brag or sit here and pout about it too much.
So I think you just took care of the bragging, you mother canucker. Um, it's almost like we should be talking NASCAR on other shows very soon. So if you do like NASCAR, check that out. We have a GM fantasy league to do a pool for or a draft for.
Yeah, we got to talk about that soon.
Yeah, we actually probably should do that tonight. So there we go, making post-show plans. Let me just dive right into it, dude. I got contacted yesterday by one of the guys that was always very kind with Halloween information for us when doing our Halloween kills and Halloween ends coverage. And this time, it was pertaining to the Crystal Lake series. Now, I'm not sitting here saying the information I'm about to give is the first time it's been put on the internet. I honestly don't know because I haven't been following that closely the last 3 weeks or so. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm just late to the party, or maybe it's a scoop of sorts. Not mine, someone else's. But let's dive into it. Actually, before we do, Mike, have you been following along with the Crystal Lake series and what's been going on there?
No, I haven't, man. I something that I've just kind of putting on the back burner. I'm not I don't know. I'm obviously interested in it, but it's something that I'm not like die hard about, so I'm not like trying to find, I don't know. I'm not big into spoilers or anything like that, so I'm just kind of laying off. It's kind of same with Scream. I'm just kind of laying off. Um so yeah, I haven't really heard too much about it. I haven't seen much floated out there, but I had to be if I'm being honest, I haven't been looking, so I don't know if it's out there or not.
So we'll start here. To my knowledge, at least according to the information that I just got, is Crystal Lake is going the David Gordon Green Halloween route, which shouldn't be all that surprising because they were either going to retell everything or eliminate everything but the first one. The interesting tidbit that I don't have the information to is it is going to be some sort of continuation from that first movie. But the perk, or not the perk, but the little tidbit to it, Mike, is this. It is some sort of continuation from the first movie, but with a spin to it. And I
So
don't
a continue a
spin it.
continuate a continuation from the actual end of that first film.
Correct.
Okay, good. Well, it's interesting. I'm wondering about that because I thought it was labeled a prequel to a sense. Are they going to do flashbacks, or how are they going to handle
I
that?
think that's what I'm assuming that's what the spin is. So,
Gotcha.
it was described to me as, even though they haven't shot anything yet, to my knowledge, they do have filming locations selected. I know everybody under the sun, including us, were of the opinion that they could probably have this thing to be ready to be released this fall
I thought so too.
for October 13th, but which is a Friday, obviously. But I got to tell you, man, um, the conversation I had yesterday, it did not sound like this thing would be ready for this year. So,
They'd have to start filming probably now
yeah,
and work really fast through post production. You're I don't know if they've come out with the details yet. Again, I'm not following it heavily. If it's 8 episodes or 10 episodes, but if it's 10, I can imagine they're going to be at least an hour long, right around that. So they're going to have to push, and they're going to have to start filming like within the next 20 to 25 days. And I don't know if that's the plan or not, but if they can do it I would say before the end of February, fall's possible, but that would be feet to the ground. You don't have any interruptions, nothing crazy happens, and you work very fast through post production. It'll be tough.
this is what I would say. if you're a Friday the 13th fan, your franchise has been dormant for quite some time now. I want to see the series big time. And I'm going to get to one of the reasons why, but not just yet. But don't you want not only to like just get another, piece of content from the Friday the 13th franchise because it's been so fucking long, but don't you actually want it to be successful so that they can build off that and that they can, get a return on their investment so that you can get more Friday movies? I'm not talking one every year. I think the second you start doing one every year, you're playing with fire. But there's ample opportunity here, and I mean, I do mean that not in terms of movies, but in terms of a series. Look at House of the Dragon. I know that's something that's effects heavy, but they're going to go a year and a half in between seasons. What did Stranger Things go 2+ years?
Yeah, they went right around 2 years. I mean, granted, it's long and it sucked, but I think the majority can agree that season 4 was probably the best that they put together. They took their time with it, didn't rush through it, and it paid off. It paid off. So you got to ask yourself: are you somebody who wants good product and good payoffs, or you want somebody, or do you want them to rush through it and it not work out? Me, it's worth the wait.
Well, we hope it'll be worth the wait, but like, let them have time. Don't rush it. Hey, if season 1 doesn't come out until 2024, so be it. Let it come out when it's ready to come out. And guess what? If you have to wait a year and a half instead of a year for season 2, give them the time to do it right. For the love of God, you don't need them rushing anything, because if you rush it out after waiting this long and it's dog shit, you have now devalued the franchise further.
Totally agree.
The other thing I heard is the tone. Again, nothing's been shot, so this is just based off of what they've been hearing. But if you've seen True Detective, specifically that first season with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, it's going to be a True Detective / Hannibal with a little bit of a slasher feel to it. So I know there's people that love their super campy Friday the 13th movies, and a lot of the older ones are that. They're just, a fun campy slasher. If that's what you want in this series, that is not what you're going to get. I would have hoped that A24 would have been enough to let you know there'd be a little bit more meat on the bone there. But yeah, no, it does seem like they're going just in a more of a storytelling route rather than straight up let's hack and slash people every 2 minutes. And I like that. I think it's give me that take on the franchise.
Yeah, it's different, man. I think it's you add that campiness in there a little bit, a tad bit, but when you have the mix of an A24, which I kind of figured once they announced that they were behind the project and product that it would be okay. So or that it would go that direction. So I'm not shocked at all. I think it's going to work out hopefully good. I think what I'm most excited about is one being able to have something new from this franchise, and then to have A24 behind it. I thought A24 did a lot of good projects last year. I don't love all of their stuff, but here recently I have. So it's up in the air, man. I'm super excited. I'm excited to see what they do with the show. So we'll see.
And then the last one on this front, and it's the big one, save the best for last. I know there's been some people that have thought that Jason Voorhees won't really have much, if any, involvement in the show, or if he's in the show, it'll be a little bit. I know at one point people thought just he was not allowed to be in the show, but they cleared that up in an interview fairly quickly. But I can tell you this, and I don't mind, staking our reputation to it. Jason is involved in the show. and is supposed to be a significant part of it moving forward. That doesn't now when I pressed for what that meant in terms of how much screen time are we getting? Is he going to be the main focus right off the bat? I didn't get any answers like that, other than he is a big part of the show, and that could mean several things. But I'm stoked for that. How about you, Mike?
I have to agree. I think that I don't know. I would have to agree. This whole thing intrigues me in general. I mean, what was it? It was only a few days after they announced the Friday the 3rd. It might have been the same day. I just remember when they announced the project, they said that it was going to be a prequel. Since this word that Jason was not involved, and then was it the same day or a couple days later that they said Jason was going to be involved, that they did have the rights? So I think that once you kind of heard that it was a prequel and Jason was not involved, I think some people were a little bummed. But once people found out, especially for me, I'm talking from my perspective, that they did have the rights and Jason was going to be involved in some way, somehow, some fashion, I thought was big. So I'm excited. I really am.
Me too. I'm incredibly stoked for it. Can't wait to see what they put out. And we're starting to get an idea of where we're heading here. I still don't have a episode count. I don't know if that's gotten out anywhere. I
haven't seen it.
haven't been pressing for any of this though either. I only have
neither.
a few people I can ask, and I've been plenty busy with other things, and it was just sort of volunteered to me last night, and it was a nice sort of form of escapism, and I'm excited. I've always thought that if we can get a more serious tone for Friday the 13th and specifically Jason Voorhees, you can put out a pretty good movie. Now, I know most people will disagree with me. My favorite Jason movie is the remake, the Friday the 13th remake with Jared Padalecki. I love the tone of that movie. It's just not like the other movies in the franchise.
Yeah, I disagree as far as it being my favorite. I think I put part 6 as number 1 and the remake at number 2. But I have to agree with you, man. I was gonna say that before you even jumped in on that. I just think the tone of the remake was a lot darker. I thought Jason was a lot darker. Now, again, it does have a little campy feel to it with the characters, but it didn't come off in a real corny way. Like, it reminded me a lot of another remake that I loved was the 2003 Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. That's my favorite Texas movie. So I thought it had similar tones, where there was a little bit of dumbness as far as campiness to the characters. A little bit, it was thrown in there just a tad, but the tone of it just felt totally different. So, no, I agree, man. I agree with that, with your take as far as the tone being different in that remake. It's it's a remake that I really, really enjoy.
I fucking love the Texas Chainsaw remake, by the way, in 2003. I prayed that they would duplicate that success at some point, and I don't think they ever really did, in my opinion. And I know Dean and I disagree with this, but or on this, but like I really didn't like the new Texas movie at all.
Hold on. Dean liked it? You're telling me this is a guy who doesn't. Dean's my guy. He doesn't like Scream, but he liked the remake. This new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I don't know if he liked it. I think he just thought
Okay.
being too hard on it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Dean. I hate to burst your bubble, man, but I gave that movie half a star. It was my worst rated movie on Letterboxd last year. I'm sorry, man. I love you, my guy, but oh man, that was a tough watch.
Yeah,
Tough watch.
And I believe they're doing more. So yeah, I believe Netflix opted to make another. I could be wrong on that front, but I could have swore I read that. I'll have to follow that one up. But anyway, yeah, no, I like the Friday remake the best for sure. And 6 is great too, but I don't know, man. I'm also a huge Supernatural fan, so I probably have some bias in there for that movie, the remake that is. But we'll have to wait and see. But I'm all set for a more serious tone. Let me ask you this, Mike, as we move away from Friday here for a second. Have you been following any of the DC stuff that has come out today? Because there has been a lot.
Not really, man. I'll be honest with you. I have been working since like 7 a.m. to like 5:36. Came home, ate, showered, and came right in here. Like I have my phone off to the side, so I haven't really seen if it dropped today. Anything I don't know about. I don't know anything about it.
So they announced that the Flash movie that's been delayed multiple times and stars Ezra Miller, who can't stay out of jail, is going to be the reset for the DC franchise. Like that movie, they've been able to make it in a way that will reset everything for James Gunn's new franchise. So they more or less found a way to blend the old into the new. They went as far to say that James Gunn did anyways. And remind you, he didn't make this movie. He thinks it's one of despite Ezra Miller's public mishaps, he thinks it's one of the best superhero movies he's ever seen. He's had a chance to see it. So I'm pretty excited to get a look at it. I know everybody's excited for the return of, I believe, Ben Affleck and Michael Keaton are in that movie as well. So
I'm excited for one of them. Which, listen, I wanted to bring this up tonight, Sean. Last night I had some downtime, and I was able to watch Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman.
Mhm.
Um, I have to say, man, I think it's my second favorite Batman movie. I think I put it back over. I think I re-put it back over the Batman in my rankings. When we did our rankings,
Mike, 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 what happened? Mike. No. Okay.
no, you're good. I expected that. I don't know, man. Something about it. I don't know. I will say this though. One thing that I do love about that movie and the new Batman movie that recently came out was the darkness of Gotham. Like Gotham felt like Gotham. Like just the cinematography I felt like back in that time. Like Gotham was dark, it looked gritty, and I felt like we got that in this movie. And although I love The Dark Knight, it just felt a little too pop culture New York Times Square vibe to me a little bit, which doesn't take away from the movie. I'm just saying, like, I think Gotham for me, as far as Batman, is a character in a sense. And I just think that the Batman and the 1989 Batman do the best jobs of diving into Gotham and really making that city look dark and gritty.
Did Tommy put you up to this? Is this what's going on right now?
No,
Did
no, he
you just
didn't.
hate on the Batman and the Dark Knight within a 2 minute span? Are you trying to get me to have a heart attack on air?
Oh no. Well, let me. That was just come on, man. The Dark Knight is in my top 5 movies of all time.
Well,
I
I
think.
guess we'll find out when we score it later this year. We'll see.
No, we can't do it because like I scored The Quiet Place 2 tonight and my scores are fucking high, but like when I compare it to like Halloween 4, I love Halloween 4 way more than I love The Quiet Place 2. It's just I scored it higher. So fuck this. Fuck this little game that the Overlook Drive-In is playing with me. It's that psychological shit. That's why it's called the Overlook Drive-In. It fucks with your mind.
It's like, oh my god, what did I give this? What did I give this movie? Oh, I can't put this movie ahead of that movie. Oh my god, I gotta go back and look what I scored.
Yeah, like I can't remember my exact scores for Halloween 4, but I know what I scored The Quiet Place 2. Like it's just high, and it's not even in my top 10 like horror sci-fi movies of all time. But like if you go off my Overlook Drive-In score, it is. But I promise you, it is not. It is not. It is not.
Your scores are pretty high tonight.
I know. I know. I
Uh,
know, but they fit. They fit. I rewatched it over the weekend, and I'm like, God damn it! And I can't wait to dive into that because I think the second one's an easier watch too. than the first one.
Much.
So
In the meantime, though, before we get to that, the Batman Part 2 it might end up being titled something
I gotta
else.
go. I gotta go. I gotta go.
Okay.
Just,
Oh,
Rem-
Dick.
Rem- you thought I was serious.
Yeah, I thought something.
Shawn is sitting here like, what am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? Where's Tommy B at? Where's Tommy B? I gotta continue the show. It's funny though. You ask no questions. You're just like,
Just be like, here are my scores.
you ask no questions. You're just like, all right.
I'm like, do I say something? Is it his dog? Is it something in his house? Like, do I just sit here and say nothing?
All right, so I do want to. Now that you said that, when I started doing these shows, I had the noise cancellation headphones. So I always thought if somebody broke into my house while I'm on the podcast, unless my dog's in here and I see his reaction, somebody could easily, like John Wick, can easily walk in my room and put 2 bullets in my head easily, and I wouldn't hear him. Like they could bust a window out in the kitchen, 2 clean bullets. Ghostface could come up here, and I mean, I'd be done. I'd be done. Luckily, nobody knows my address. Not even Matt Whitfield. So,
Sounds like you got your very own Hush fan film there.
oh man, I'm gonna make that this weekend. It's gonna be trash, but I'm gonna make it.
Man. The Batman Part 2, and you know what? If it ends up being called that, I think I'm okay with that. I don't know. This series has a feel to it where the first one was titled The Batman, so why not Part 2? My guess is it will be called something else.
Yeah.
But it comes out October 3rd, 2025. So almost 3 years from now, about 2 3/4 years from now. 2025 is starting to shape up to be a heavyweight year in the cinema. You have the next Star Wars movie that comes out that year. You have the Batman Part 2. You have the Avengers. And there's another one that I'm forgetting, but like you got some big movies coming out that year. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's gonna be a big year, man. I'm excited to see what they do in the second film. Obviously, don't know too much about it. It's a little ways out, but I'm excited for it, man. I thought the first one was absolutely phenomenal. It was in my top 3 movies released last year, and I knew it once I saw it, it was going to stay in my top 3. It was just one that was going to be hard to knock off. So I don't know, man. I'm really, really excited to see what they do with part 2 or whatever it's going to be called. I'm excited to see Robert Pattinson back in his role again as Batman and Bruce Wayne, but especially Batman. So excited for it, man. Excited to see this Batman character that we saw at the end of the movie as he took a step forward and becoming a quote unquote superhero in a sense, to see where he is in this second movie, if he's fully embraced that superhero role, or is that something he's still kind of battling inside of his head?
I'm going to offer a prediction, an early prediction, a way early prediction. I bet, knowing Matt Reeves, that the second movie will be very tonally different from the first movie. A lot of people that are just hoping for more of the same from the first movie, I think, are going to be very disappointed, because I think it'll be a very different movie. And I also think if you go back and watch that movie that's almost 3 hours long, you realize in that movie how much more he's Batman on screen than Bruce. For really the first time ever in a Batman movie, is it like that? And I think we're gonna get the opposite. I could see him being a lot of Bruce Wayne in the next movie. And I'd be curious to see what Pattinson can do with that, because a lot of people just go, oh, hey, that's the Twilight guy, not realizing this guy has put together an incredible resume over the last decade.
Yeah, 100%. I thought he was pretty good at Bruce Wayne. Obviously, we didn't get to see too much of that, but I didn't really have a problem with it. Probably not my favorite Bruce Wayne, but I thought he absolutely killed the Batman role. So
Amar says, have you guys seen the Boogeyman trailer, Mike?
I have not. I saw a bunch of people talking about it today, but I have not had a chance to watch it. So I'm gonna watch it tonight before I go to sleep when I'm scrolling around on YouTube. But I'm excited to see what that turns out to be.
I have not. I have not. I am way behind on trailers and just about everything else. So, yeah. Let's dive into it, Mike. Let's go to the tail of the tape. A Quiet Place Part 2. There was 2 different release dates when I researched this. Did this come out in 2020 or 2021?
That's a good question, man. I want to say
Wikipedia has 2 release dates for it, and it's
so. Man, I really cannot remember off the top of my head. All I know that it was supposed to come out, and then it was postponed due to COVID. And I want to say that this is the first movie that they showed once the theaters opened back up. Because I remember once everything opened back up, the first thing that I did was went to the movie theater to see A Quiet Place Part 2. So I don't know if that was towards the end of 2020 or if that was in 2021.
Whoa! Hang on. There's a trailer for Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey. I didn't know there's a trailer for that yet.
Oh, that dropped? See, I'm out of it too, man.
I'm so fucking out of the loop. Maybe Mike and I will do a live trailer reaction at the end of this thing. We'll have to have the audio down, though. Let's see if I can do that up in the meantime. I'm so far. Oh, my God. I apologize. Things are starting to get back to normal. It's just been a crazy 2 months.
I did see the trailer for I think it's called Cocaine Bear.
I did see that too, yeah.
Yeah, so which I'm going to see, damn it.
Why the hell not?
I mean, true.
Oh man.
Did anybody in the chat, I want to know, did anybody in the chat this weekend see Infinity Pool? I want to know your thoughts on that.
I don't even know what that is.
Hang
on. Apparently there was a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey trailer like 5 months ago that I never seen.
Oh, well, I didn't see it either if it was 5 months ago. You sure it wasn't a teaser trailer? Like something small?
No, it was 2 minutes. The only thing I see here is there's one from 3 weeks ago that was 34 seconds long. Yeah, a lot of this seems like it's 5 months ago. Wow, where the fuck have I been? Jesus, pardon my language.
I have a bunch of friends that are actually in the movie theater right now, sitting down to see an early screening of A Knock at the Cabin, which I'm really excited to hear the reviews on.
Nice. I hope they enjoy it. Quiet Place Part 2 was written and directed by John Krasinski. The budget on this one was much more. $55 million. And A Quiet Place Part 2 made $300 million worldwide with restrictions in the theaters. So that's something else. Starring Emily Blunt. Let me ask you, do you pronounce it Cillian Murphy or Cillian Murphy? Because I've heard both.
I say Cillian.
Yeah, that's typically what I say, but I've heard Cillian. Emily Blunt, Cillian Murphy, Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, Djimon Hounsou, and John Krasinski. Mike, how long after the first movie did you see the second movie for the first time?
Whatever the release date was for the first one. So I can't remember what it was last week off the top of my head, but I saw both movies in the theater. So whatever that time frame was, Sean?
So I watched them back to back. So my
I like that a lot though. I like being able to experience stuff like that back to back. Of course, I would love to see stuff on the big screen and in theaters, and I think you would too. We both prefer that, but like being able to watch these two movies, especially for me, back to back would have been phenomenal. I know you watched some of the Halloween movies back to back to back. So man, being able to do that is if for some reason you can do that, I think it's really, really cool and something really cool to experience. I did that recently with the three John Wick videos. I knew a fourth one was coming out, never seen them, and I absolutely loved all three. So
nice. Um, yeah, no. So I seen them back to back, and I gotta say, both are very well made movies. I would never take anything away from them. But I just enjoyed part two much more than the first part. Again, I think the whole kid killing at the beginning of the first one really kind of, took me out of it. I know you might say, well, the the prequel scene there of when they arrive, and it's like, yeah, but you don't get any infinite close up that lasts seemingly forever of this child dying, and the family's reaction to it. I loved what they did, man. I loved the small town feel where they shot it. I loved the setting at the baseball diamond, and then watching the meteor in the sky. Um, I just thoroughly enjoyed the second movie far more than the first movie. But my favorite parts of the second movie are, I guess, Gears of War fans would call it Emergence Day. But like the day they arrived, I love when that we get to see what the initial reaction to their arrival was. And my guess is if they, depending on what Krasinski wants to do with this, they can do a hell of a lot off of just their arrival. You can do video games, TV shows, you name it, because then you have that apocalyptic type show, and it could be anywhere. It could be on a global scale or it could be on a small scale. He really did a wonderful job designing an apocalyptic setting. And I don't mean just visually, I mean thematically too. And everything about the second movie just hit in a much better place for me. And I think probably as a guy who's a Cloverfield fan, the second movie is far closer to what Cloverfield is, than the first one is. Um, and I enjoyed it for that. Now, I'm not talking about the way it's shot, obviously, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie more. Where do you fall on it, Mike? But first, actually, before where you fall on it, do you know what the general, you know, public opinion is of the two movies? Are they about 50-50, or do a lot of people like one more than the other?
I feel like a lot of people enjoy the first one a little bit more. But I have to say, like, it's very close from what from what I when I talk to people. For me personally, I enjoy the second one more. I think it's a better film. Um, but I like both. I think that once you look at my scores aren't too far off as far as what I thought of the first movie compared to the second movie. Um, but there's just key things in the second movie that I like more. But just to answer that question, I definitely think that people lean a little bit more towards the first one. But I think it's more like of a 51 51% to 49% split, like something very close to in that nature.
Now, as we know, as we've been going through movies here, that just because a movie is your favorite or you might like it better than another movie doesn't mean that it's going to score better than another movie. But in terms of just what you like better, man, do you go with the first one or the second one? And if so, why?
I'll go with the second one. I think that it's one of my favorite opening scenes that I've seen in the past. 5 to 6 years in a movie. I just love that opening scene, and really, I think you explained it beautifully, Shawn. I love the small town feel. I'm always gonna be a small time feel type of person when it comes to films. It gives me that uh, uh, dairy Maine feeling from it. Like it gives me like small town vibes. Just works for me. Period. So I'm always gonna choose small town over a big city. Um, 10 out of 10 times. So be like it just reminded me if it felt like everybody was at that baseball game or right down the street in the town shops, like everybody was there. Like nobody was at home. Everybody felt like it was Saturday or whatever day it was, and you went to the ballpark to watch your kids play ball, and then you went to town afterwards to grab groceries or whatever it was. But everybody felt like they were in that general area when these monsters, things, whatever you want to call them, came down and really just wreaked havoc on the town and killed a bunch of people there. And being able to see their arrival was really, really cool. To your point, I think one of the things that John Krasinski talked about in the making of this second movie was obviously it's called A Quiet Place. You're supposed to be quiet, and one of the first things that he does towards the beginning of this movie is like really focus in on, and we'll dive into it as far as score wise soon, but he really focuses in on the sound. Like when he opens the door, you hear the door, you hear the door pull open, and then you hear the bell ring to the door. You hear him grabbing the sound of him grabbing a bag of whatever and opening the door to this, and like it was very sound driven in the beginning, and I really really loved that about the opening. And um I just thought it was a little bit more scarier as well. The tension was taken up a notch in this movie too. So I think everything was just a little bit was amplified a little bit more, but in a really good way, to where they didn't overdo it.
I think that's a very well way of putting it. And not to mention though, like I'm a big Cillian Murphy fan. And I know people in the chat are gonna be like, "Why aren't you saying it Killian?" And if we say it Killian, why aren't you saying it Cillian? We're gonna go Cillian Murphy. That's how I know it is. He's a wonderful performer. He's been great in everything I've seen him in. I've not seen Peaky Blinders, but I know a lot of people that swear by that show. Obviously, he plays Scarecrow in Nolan's Batman trilogy. He was fantastic in Red Eye. I think that might have been with Rachel McAdams. I can't remember. But the guy has a fairly impressive resume. I believe he's also in that Nolan War movie. I can't remember the title of it now. But yeah, so like when you have acting talent to carry your movie and make you believe in the world that we're being shown, I think that helps. And then obviously they had the budget this time around. The scene that we see of them arriving and tons of people just getting slaughtered. Um, we didn't see anything that well lit or visually focused in any of the first film.
Yeah, I agree. So, I mean, I agree with that point. I just think everything is done a little bit better in this movie, but not like to a point where it just feels like it's overkill or overburn. I felt like everything really really hit in a good positive way.
Yeah, I thought so. I like the dynamic with the family. I thought that was very well done. I like that Krasinski, in my opinion, didn't overuse himself. That was smart. Um, but let's talk about the typical horror movie trope that that he finds a way to put in this film. How many, horror slash thriller movies or slasher movies have you seen um, or apocalyptic movies where you have this nice little settlement that's just minding their own business and have found a way to survive, and they're living and are safe. And then the characters that we're following in the story, the POVs, if you will, end up showing up at that place and completely fucking it up for everybody and getting everyone killed. Like, it happens all the time, in almost all those types of movies. And I really like the way they did it this time. And I like that they didn't take themselves too seriously to not do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just worked. I think John Krasinski knew exactly what he was doing, and I just think that even in the first film, um, they knew where to go, what buttons to hit, and I just think they just do it so well in the second movie, like again where it's not overboard, like you said, or it's not too much, and I don't know. What really attracts me to the second one, while we're still on this, is just the tension. I feel like that it's never really slow in part two, in my opinion. I just think it's good from start to beginning, and obviously it starts with that prequel scene, and then picks up to where the first one left, right where the first one left off in the house. So they do a really good job with that, and creating that tension from jump, and it works really really well.
Yeah, the tension's definitely notable in this film. I also want to point out that I found that this film has far more of a notable score at times than the first film did. And I thought that it added an element to the film that the first film, in my opinion, intentionally, but in my opinion, lacked. So I thought they did a really nice job with that. I thought the dialogue was better in this film. I thought the acting was better in this film. Actually, to be honest, man, I think the second film is better and more superior to the first film in every way. And that doesn't mean the first film's bad, because it's a very well made film. I just think they found a way to up their game on every level for the second part.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I think or that's why I know it's my favorite out of the two. Again, nothing with against the first one. You can go back and check my score. I think very highly of the first movie. It's one, I just think that they've really hit with both of these movies, man, especially the second one. And again, I'm interested to see where they go from here and what they do. Like you said, they had the opportunity to do a lot. The films, especially the second one, made a lot of money. So and the fact that it made a lot of money in the time that it did too, I mean, that's just actually unbelievable. Because you want to talk about releasing a movie in a pandemic. They literally released this movie right when the theaters opened up, and I know when this movie came out, the theaters up near Shawn were still not open. So there were still theaters around that were not fully open. So to be able to bring in the money that they were able to bring in, they did absolutely phenomenal. So very excited to see where they go from here. I think I heard rumblings about them making a Quiet Place game. I don't know, where they are in development with that, if that's still happening. But yeah, I mean, to your point, Sean, they're able to go and do a lot with this franchise, and they've hit on two movies. And I just hope, whether they make one more, two more, or three, whatever it is, I hope they don't dry it out, and it continues to be different and hit and be really good.
So they are doing a game. Um, they're also doing it looks like a prequel movie. So I might have this confused here, but it looks like. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up with this. So I think
So I know about the prequel. That's really the only thing I know about.
there's three major projects in development. The game, which, if they're smart, you will start on Emergence Day. Don't start us friggin' 10 years into it and you're already sneaking around. Give us the thrill of having to survive through the beginning. Um, the prequel, Day One, and a sequel. So they got three major projects all in development. So they have gone the route of definitely franchising this thing, and you got to give Krasinski credit. You know, he also during the pandemic made that YouTube show that he sold too. So
Yeah.
the dude is one creative genius, and you know their kids definitely have some very bright parents. That's for sure.
Agreed. I totally agree.
Let's just take a look at the comments here. Oh, we got a lovely spam. Dean said Cocaine Bear looks insane. So you guys might have noticed we've been doing the scores a little bit differently lately. We have a new graphic set too that will be debuting next week, hopefully next week. So that's been worked on for a while, along with a bunch of other stuff for other projects that are going on. So be on the lookout for that. But ready your scores. So just give us all five at once, and then you do your math because it was hard enough doing our math. And let us know what you ended up getting for A Quiet Place Part Two. But before we get there, Mike, any final thoughts on the movie? Anything that you want to bring up before we get to the scores? I'll say this, and maybe I'm tipping my hand here. And again, I'm a Cloverfield fan, so I'm probably biased, but the day one scene we get is by far my favorite scene of the two movies.
Yeah. I would say it's in my top 3. I would have to sit here and think about it. Another scene that comes to my mind is when Emily Blunt's character, when they're in when she has to go back in the warehouse and the monster is like guarding the hole that she has to get back into. I thought that was a really good tension filled scene. That one sticks out to me, and then the ending sticks out to me as well when the monster's right there and they got to go into the control radio room. And I don't know. So I would say those are my top 3. I don't know where they fall, but I totally agree as far as that just being a superior scene in both films. I think it's such a damn good scene. And that's really all I had to say about it. I did want to bring up those other 2 scenes, so really, really good question.
I don't know. I brought up the typical, horror movie trope of watching our POV characters, if you will, uh, get the innocent people at a safe place killed and then screw their safe place up. Again, it happens. The Walking Dead. How many times does that happen in that show alone? Um, plenty is the answer. I don't know, man. To me, the second movie, I'm not saying it is this, but it definitely had more of those traditional apocalyptic movie or a traditional apocalyptic movie feel to it, more so than the first movie did, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially because I feel like in that first film, they were so grounded in one area for the most part, and obviously in the second film, they leave the house, and I think that again from jump, the tension is created. You know, when they go to that warehouse area, and the son steps on that like bear trap thing and fucking hurts. I mean, from there, I mean, it's you're sitting there thinking, how long is it? Like we saw in the first film, how quick that those monsters react. So it's like as soon as that happens, I mean, you can't expect the kid not to fucking scream when that happens. So you already know what's coming, and like how long do you have to get somewhere safe? And I don't know. Again, I keep saying it, but it goes back to I just thought that it was very well paced, and the tension in it was very, very good in the second film.
Let's bring up our scores and let's have some fun with this, Mike. I'm gonna let you read the scores. That way, if you have any questions, you can fire them away.
Sounds good to me. All right, for story and pacing, I gave it a 9. Shawn gave it an 8. Shawn, is that due more to the story or the pacing of the film?
I thought both were an improvement on the first film. Um, but I thought there was more bone to, or there's more meat to chew on in the second movie because you're dealing with what's going on in the current timeline. They've lost their father and their husband, on
Yeah.
top of their other sibling and their child. Um, so like it just keeps piling on. But then you go back and you deal with day one at the same time, and you're kind of invested in both. So I just thought in general, they just presented a story that was paced better for sure, but in general had my interest more.
Acting, I gave it a 9.5. Sean gave it an 8.5. Cinematography, I gave it a 9.5. Sean gave it an 8.5. Writing and directing, I gave it a 9. Sean gave it an 8.5. And sound and score, me and Sean agree 8.5. And I'm sure that that has to do with the improvement of a little bit more of a score in this film. And then I'm sure we both agree, Sean, that the sound design in this movie was once again phenomenal.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. It was actually the Lucasfilm actually did quite a bit of work on this movie for Krasinski, so
Oh, nice, nice.
that was pretty cool to learn that. So that was nice little. If you're a Star Wars fan, nice little nod of the hat there. Um, yeah, it just the sound was better, but again, there was there was more of a score in this movie that had an actual identity to it. You know, you can have music in any fucking movie you want, and you can have whatever
Yeah.
score you want, but that doesn't mean it has any sort of identity. You know, if you hear da 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 da, it's James Bond, or
Yeah.
dun 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 Jaws. You know, I'm not saying it's that iconic, but then you have a movie like, I don't know, take I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's one of the movies that we covered on this movie, or on the show, pardon me, on the show early. But it to me, and I believe I said it that back then too, is like it lacked in score. It lacked an identity there. And this movie doesn't do that. And
Yeah.
again, I truly believe, and I have to go back and look at my scores from the previous week. But I truly believe this movie is better on every level. Maybe not substantially, but they came out and put together a better project, or a product, pardon me, than they did the first time around. And their first product was a good one.
Yep. No, I totally agree with you, man. I enjoyed the second one better as well.
So that brings us to our individual scores. Mike had it at 91%, and I had it at 84%, giving A Quiet Place Part 2 87.5%. A Quiet Place Part 1 was 84% for us, Mike. So this one scored 3.5%
Yep.
higher. Any final thoughts on A Quiet Place Part 2?
No, man. Again, I absolutely love this movie. I love both of these films. I'm glad we were able to cover it, Sean. I know these are two films that you kind of hadn't gotten around to, but wanted to. So I'm glad you were able to check them both out. And I'm glad that you at least liked The Quiet Place 2. You know, that set with you really, really well. So, yeah, man, just glad we were able to cover these two movies for the show.
Yeah, I don't know what to go with next. I haven't
Well, you're up to bat, my friend. You're
yeah,
up to
I
bat.
didn't even I didn't plan that far ahead. I've been trying to catch up, so I don't really know what to
Well, first off, you need to catch up on The Last of Us.
2 episodes behind now. 2 episodes,
Oh man,
7 minutes behind.
I don't know how you're gonna feel about this new episode. It's very divisive. But I will say, for me personally, it's one of the best episodes of television I've seen in a very, very long time.
Nice.
It's very, very good.
Nice. Nice. Can't wait to take a peek at it. Before we do get ready to get out of here, though, a big shout out to our channel sponsor, Mr. Christy _ 78. If you want to get work done on a Myers mask you already own, or you want him to go out and get you one and then do the work, he does that too. Check him out. Instagram, Twitter, Chrissy _ 78. Fair prices, great work. Guy knows what he's doing. Big shout out to our friend Jesse, Bunce Force Trauma. You can catch him at tastytreatmaster at yahoo.com, soundcloud.com/Bunce Trauma, and Facebook, Bunce Force Trauma. And to our friend Mr. Jason Nike over at Backtrack Cinema, go check him out for anything and everything. That dude covers everything, and I appreciate what he does over there for sure. Big shout out to all of them. And again, the show will probably have a little bit of a different look anyways next week. I wish I could sit here and say I have a movie right off the top of my head, Mike. I don't. I'm gonna have to put a little bit of thought into this and go from there. But any final thoughts, man? What do you got going on with Take One?
Not a lot, man. This week, next week, next Monday, we kick off our road to Scream 6 with the very first Scream movie. So super excited for that one. It's crazy, man. We're already in February, so we're gonna be rolling through all 5 Scream films. Heading up to Scream 6 right around the corner, man. Hopefully, some more good news also to come, or movie news to come in general over the next few weeks about anything.
So I'm just trying to think here. When does Scream come out?
March 10th, I think. I can tell you right now. It comes out, March 10th. Well, technically March 9th for that Thursday, but
Dean is going to hate me for what I'm about to suggest.
Yes, go! My answer is yes, my friend.
We got 5 shows between now and then. What do you think?
I'm gonna be doing it on Take One, so I'm ready. Like I'm gonna be all ready. I'm gonna be ready to go. Period. So if you want to, I mean, obviously not score wise, I'm gonna have to really buckle down about that. But if you want to go all 5 Screams, man, let's do it.
Save you a little bit of time too. Then great. All right, there you have it. The next 5 weeks just for you, Dean. We know you and the Woodsboro group love this decision. Scream for the next 5 weeks. I can't wait to see Dean's scores. Maybe we should have Dean on for his favorite Scream movie. 4, right? I'm kidding.
I'd like to have Dean on all 5 if he's available.
Oh God. Can you imagine? And that's the show. Mike and I don't even talk. It's just Dean ranting for 2 hours about how terrible the fucking movies are.
I can't do that. I wouldn't be able to keep my mouth shut, man. I love that franchise too much. I love it.
Oh boy, here we go.
I don't know. They released a dud this time though. That's 2 in a row from me. So you're starting. We'll see.
Hey, it makes our jobs easier. I'll say that, Mike. Are you going to see Titanic? I think I already asked you this, but yeah,
absolutely.
Okay, so we haven't done, and we're a little bit behind, but there's a Lambkin Lane that will come out next week to represent January's Lambkin Lane, and then an additional Lambkin Lane that's going to be for February, obviously. And the first one you're probably not going to want to miss because we got some interesting details behind a possible Halloween literature project in the works. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be a Lambkin Lane exclusive. And why don't we do Titanic? Even though it's not horror, but why don't we do Titanic on the Patreon side of things?
Man, I would love that. I was able, because I had this break before. I had a 1-week break for Take One, and my friend Marie was gonna come on, and we were gonna do our top 10 rom-coms to step away from horror before we got into, that stretch for Scream. And I had some technical issues as far as figuring out like my mic and why. Like hopefully the stream. Dean said it sounded fine, but like my mic keeps ended up cutting out. So I had some technical difficulties. So now I had to be like, now I'm hardwired into my laptop and my speed is a lot better. So hopefully I'm going to go back and listen on YouTube, but hopefully my mic isn't crackling too much. But I mean, it was to a point where it was just too bad. So we weren't able to do that. So I would love to be able to get on here and talk about Titanic.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll that'll probably represent January's Gold Room a little bit late, and then we'll have to pop out another one for February. But that I think is going to do it for us. If you're a NASCAR fan, we got lots of shit coming from both of us over the next few weeks. If you're a Westeros fan, aka Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Zach and I have our first videos coming from our new channel in a few weeks. Actually, probably less than a few weeks. Probably in the next 2 weeks, you'll see the first couple videos go up. So be on the lookout for that as well. Until next time, though, stay safe and can't wait, man. 5 weeks of Scream. Here we go.